You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
Mighty Blue on the Appalachian Trail, the ultimate midlife crisis. Join Steve and his guests every week as he staggers from Georgia to Maine.
Hey guys, good to be back with you all again for episode number 525 of the Mighty Blue podcast. Before we get into it though, I wanted to let you all know that I attended a podcasting conference last week for 3 days, and I came back home fired up with ideas about how I could do things with the podcast that I haven't done before. One of the things I considered was either adding video to the show or maybe starting an entirely new show to run alongside this one. What I have decided to do though is to be very intentional about my filming on the AT this year by recording at certain iconic spots along the way. I haven't totally tied down the type of things I want to record, but I can't imagine a better backdrop for a hiking show than the Appalachian Trail itself. My thoughts on this and the content I can produce are still a bit muddled, though I expect to be firming some of these ideas up in the coming weeks. I thought you might want to know. The other thing that I've been thinking about is how I'm going to podcast out there this year. I already know actually how to do it, but I'm talking about what to record. People have already heard me walking this trail, and though I intend to still have the story of my journey, in keeping with my thought that this should be more about community, I'll be interviewing other hikers along the way to learn about their stories. I'm really looking forward to that part of my hike. But back to this week. Our main guest today is Tony Roddy, or Silverback. Tony undertook a walk across America in 2015 and vowed then to do one of the long-distance trails 10 years later in 2025. Just weeks before heading out on the CDT last year, Tony changed his mind and hit the AT. He's such a kind man and gave his hike true purpose in raising funds for autism awareness. Tony will be on in a moment. Then our Hike the Good Hike member this week is Colby Polk, a veteran who's hitting the Colorado Trail later in the year. He's a husband and a father who realises how much he needs a trail, and I found him to be very open to my questions. Colby will be on after Tony. Then, bringing up the rear, my accountability blog once more. Thanks to those of you who have reached out to me with suggestions on items I'm still unsure about. I'm ready to try anything at this stage. So let's get to it and meet Tony Roddy, or Silverback. A previous guest on the show, Linda Maccabee, suggested today's guests, and I'm very grateful that she did. This is Tony Roddy, or Silverback. Hey, Tony, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, you're welcome, sir. Thank you for having me on the show.
And nice to see you. And you hiked the AT in 2025, but it was something else 10 years ago when you first thought about a long-distance hike, though not the AT. Tell us about that.
Oh, that was a walk across America, my walkabout, my American walkabout in 2015. I had reservations from doing it for the longest, and as I got close to retirement, and I was in New Mexico at the time, I thought, you know what, I'm going to make this walk happen. At first, I was just going to walk one state over from New Mexico to Arizona.
Right.
And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be retiring in less than 10 years. I'm single. Why can't I go across America? And I started researching and doing YouTubing and looking at people who walked across America and how they did it and what route they took and all that stuff. And I was very interested in doing it. And I eventually did it. And I said to myself after that, I finished that in 10 years, which would be 2025, that I would walk one of the longer trails. And first it was a Continental Divide. Up until like 2 or 3 weeks prior, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to Continental Divide. I'm going to do the Appalachian Trail because I can drive down there. My sister can drop me off because I live in Kentucky.
Right.
And I can start that one. And besides, people say that's the hardest one. So I'm going to do the hardest one first. And so I decided to make a change about 2 months prior and do the Appalachian Trail instead of the Continental Divide trail.
Well, you don't actually know right now whether it's the hardest one yet, although you may find out still, but you know already that it was bloody difficult, wasn't it?
Oh, heavens, yes. You can say that again and again, man. Yes, it was very challenging.
So the walk across America, tell us what you were doing out there 10 years ago and what motivated you to actually do this? Because were you walking all the way? Were you hitching? How was it actually worked out?
I walked all the way. I got a couple rides. I got a few rides in. They were by a couple state troopers, actually. They were off duty and said, "Hey,
Nice.
we'd like to give you a ride. I've been watching you for the last week here, walking this road here, and you're going to come up on some dangerous spots." And I was like, "No, no, I'm good." He said, "Oh, come on, get in this truck, man. And I'm going to give you a ride down the road." And had great conversations with him, and um, uh, I had a great time out there. I really did. And I guess I wanted to walk years ago, and I mentioned it to some relatives, and they thought I was nuts. And I said, "Okay, I'm just going to put this under the rug and wait and see what happens years down the road." And the closer I got to retirement, the more I started thinking about it. I would see people walking the street, and I would stop and hand them something or give them something, food or some money.
Sure.
And it always intrigued me. Think, oh, where would they sleep at night?
Yeah.
How far do they walk? And I found myself asking my those same questions to myself a few years later. Um,
So
but I enjoyed it.
where did you sleep then, Tony? When you were
I
walking across
slept
America?
anywhere I possibly could, side the road, at people's backyard, campers, under their shelters, wherever I could. Even in the grave cemetery one time too.
Did you always ask for permission though? If you're in people's backyards.
I would think about 60% of the time I did, and mostly it was just out in the country somewhere, in the cornfields or somewhere like that in somebody's property.
That is
But
so
anywhere I possibly
cool.
could, and people would stop, and they were very generous, and they helped me tremendously, and a lot of them invited me over to their houses.
So, what was traveling? And by the way, I'll step back up a bit. I know that
Sure.
you're a veteran, and
Yes, sir.
you and we're going to talk about
Did a tour in Iraq.
PTSD. You were in a tour in Iraq. Yeah, was the purpose of this trip to help you with the PTSD, or was that a side effect of it?
Well, it's kind of both. The side effects, I had to get out and walk because it feels good.
It
It
does. Yeah.
release it. I can unplug from the craziness that's happening around the world here. That's going on right now. Um, but I also wanted to do it because it's just it helped me tremendously, and I just enjoy walking. And if I could do it for a cause too, not just for me, for a cause as well, because I don't like to be braggadocious about anything that I do out here because there's always a why, more than one why, I guess, the why I'm doing it. And PTSD had helped tremendously, and the second was I want to help kids,
Yeah,
big
that was
time.
the Make a Wish Foundation, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. The Make a Wish Foundation.
Tell us how you came about that particular charity.
That charity, I thought about doing something for the veterans, and I thought, I can probably do that later on down the road. But the church that I attended in Albuquerque was a big giver in Make a Wish and other foundations.
Right.
And one particular Sunday, we presented a check to the Make a Wish Foundation of New Mexico, and it was a little girl that got out there and spoke. I think she's about 11 or 12, and she told us how it changed her life and her family's life on doing something that they would never have done without the Make a Wish Foundation. And it
Sure.
touched me that day, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it for the Make a Wish Foundation. And I set out and did it for those guys and raised a few $1,000s for them, and it felt good. It really did.
So you had the motivation for the foundation. So what's happening in your mind and body when you're moving like that? Is it the rhythm? Is it the quiet? Or is it the purpose of the money you're raising for the foundation?
Yes.
All of the above.
All the above, all three. Yes, sir. It sure is. It feels good doing it out there, and it feels great helping someone.
Yes.
And it always feels good to do that. And I once I retired, I was volunteering prior to doing this with the Hospice Foundation here in New Mexico. But it just feels good, and walking, it keeps me healthy, and I'm not as sick as a lot of folks at my age right now because I love walking, man. And it mentally, it takes me somewhere that I was trying to describe it to someone the other day, and they said I didn't get that out there. I said, yeah, I would get to one of these mountains up top, and it's so beautiful up there. It would make me cry, and I would sit there and just observe the quietness and the beauty of what God has created. And they said, I didn't really get that. I said, I did all the time.
Did you?
It felt good.
Top of every mountain, I'm sure you did.
Yes, yes. It wasn't fun going up them, but once I got there, it was great.
And does the walking, because I don't know this, I've not suffered from PTSD, I've not put my life online like you have, and so I forgive my ignorance. Does it quiet things, or does it simply make things more manageable? What does it do to you?
It does quiet things, and it does make things manageable as well, because I had time to contemplate and think about some things in my life that I'm making changes to, and gives me uh, the know it all, the word all to think on how I can structure this here. I mean, I have the thoughts, now I got to put it in perspective on how I'm going to do it. Just like preparing for the walk. I mean, I got a list stuck on my refrigerator, and I start checking things off, and that's how life is, man. I got to put things out there. Now I'm thinking about them. Now I got to check them off and prioritize them, and that the walk helps me do that tremendously, big time.
But you're unusual. Most of us think we're going to sort the world's problems out when we do a hike, and then we suddenly go to the border into Maine and think, I've thought of nothing so far. I've sorted nothing out at all. So how did you plan the trip? Did you try to stay away from, obviously you must have stayed away from the interstates. Did you just go to visit the interior of America, or did you go right across the country? I wasn't quite sure which route you actually took.
I started in Portland, Maine.
Oh, right.
Well, actually, Wells Beach, Maine, right below Portland, Maine.
Yeah.
And I just got my road atlas out. There was no far out. Well, I didn't know anything about far out things.
Right, sure.
I figured I like maps. I like to read maps. So I got my road atlas out, and I would rip out every page and fold it up and put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in my pocket and highlight my route. And I would stick to it 80% of the time. Mostly the locals would tell me to go this way instead of that way, and it was a lot shorter and things like that. But for the most part, I just mapped it out and went across from Portland, Maine, Wells Beach, Maine. I hit New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, New Mexico,
wow,
Arizona, and California.
How many miles? Did you track how many miles that was?
About 3,073, something like that.
It's a freaking long way, isn't it? So tell me then. So when did you start? When did you finish? Was it a good time to start when you did? And did you hit all the seasons?
Yes, I thought it was, because I got a chance to see all 4 of the seasons, right, and all the time changes and everything. It felt really good. I started April. Tried to do around my birthday, but that didn't happen because there was so much snow in the New England area. And my dad and I decided to postpone it. So I left on the 19th, I think it was April 19th, and I finished December 19th, just before Christmas. And that was my goal.
Wow.
Before Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were not hanging around to do 3,000 miles. Man, you must have been going.
And I was. And you're funny you should say that, because when I did the AT, I didn't kill myself. I said, you know what? I'm 10 years older. When I was 10 years younger, I was a fool out there walking in the rain and a thunderstorm and everything. And this trip, no, I pulled aside everywhere I went.
You had a bit of comfort. You had a bit of comfort. Yeah. You took your time. Quite right too. And you mentioned that you adjusted your route often based upon what locals told you and so on. What did those conversations teach you about America, though?
There's just great people out there. The biggest concern is people out there, relatives, friends, whoever it might be. They're always so afraid for you. And you can tell, hey, I'm good. I mean, I survived Iraq. I'm pretty sure I can survive this here. No one's shooting at me. And say, wait a minute, there's hands up, no shoot right now. So yes, we are. Somebody will shoot at you. I'm like, no. So the people treated me very well, and I thought about that too. From Maine all the way to California, I had great times once they found out what I was doing, and I made a lot of friends. I really did.
Do you know what, Tony? This has not struck me before, and it's probably dumb of me not to have thought about it.
What's that?
That they said to you, the hands up, don't shoot. And as a black man, you even have to think about that. I would never consider that, of course, as a white guy.
Yes.
So, and it just would never cross my mind. But the moment you said it, it was almost chilling for me to think that you have to even consider that. So
yeah, you do.
But did you ever feel threatened out there?
I did not.
Good.
Not at all. I just kind of made myself friendly the whole time, and I figured that if I can show myself to be friendly, and
sure,
I'm doing this out there for a cause, and I'm a veteran, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I remember walking into one little tavern or something way in the backwoods of Indiana somewhere,
right?
And I was thirsty, and I wanted to use the bathroom, and I pushed the cart with all my gear in it.
Yeah, we're going to ask you about
But
Esmeralda in a minute.
I parked her outside, and I walk in, and everything stops. And they're looking at me, and I say to myself, okay, talk loud, clear, and mention postal, army, and veteran, postal, and government worker.
Yeah.
Somebody in that room knows somebody or is that employee. And I would bring that up. Hey, I'm ex-postal worker. I'm retired U.S. Forest Service worker. And somebody, oh, my grandfather was a Forest Service worker or something like that. And that broke the ice.
A common point of interest. Quite right. So,
exactly. And then I would ask for a glass of milk, and they would look at me crazy again. I love milk.
Yeah, that is crazy, by the way. Beer would have been the answer, but okay. So did the country feel different than what you'd expected it to feel
it
like?
Did.
Well,
I thought it was going to be more about. I thought it was going to be a little more violent from all the news and stuff that I watched. And you know what? I dealt with this kind of stuff in Iraq, not in this degree. It's a little different, but it wasn't. And I really loved that, man. I mean, I met people. I made friends with people, kids. One lady stopped me at a gas station once and asked me where I was going to stay because I just stopped in and get something. And I said, well, probably at the next hotel if I can find one. She said, well, we don't have one here. You can stay with us in our backyard.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
It was about 3 miles off, and I had to walk down there. But when I was there, one of her kids we got into a conversation about art. And I like to do portraits. I'm an artist. And he wanted to know if I could draw LeBron James. I'm like, sure. Real quick sketch. And he loved it. And he wanted me to stay there and be his art teacher and everything. I'm like, oh no, I got to keep walking. So I met a lot of good people out there, young and old.
That's so cool. Now, you mentioned that you didn't go alone. You took a companion, Esmeralda.
Yeah. Esmeralda. You got to roll your R's, man.
Esmeralda. Okay, Esmeralda. So did you start with Esmeralda or not?
Yes, sir.
Right. So why didn't you take a backpack, or did you feel you needed so much?
Well, I attempted to do that. When I walked around Albuquerque when I was training, whether it was 10 hours, 12 hours, I attempted to do it with a backpack one day. And I thought, this is nuts. I'm walking around town for 14 hours with this backpack, and it was hurting.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, I don't want to do this. So I got to thinking about designing a cart. And I knew a guy that I worked with had one of those carts you attach to your bike and you pull your kids around.
Sure. Yeah.
It was for twins. And he said, you can have this, Tony. So I modified that. I put wheelchair wheels on the back so I wouldn't have to change flats, and a hard wheel on the front, and stuck all my stuff inside that thing, man.
So how much did it weigh? How much did it weigh at its heaviest?
Topped off, it was somewhere about 200 pounds sometimes.
Oh my gosh. What about going uphill?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you have to take your time and keep blowing and stopping like you're going up hills in North Carolina.
No, it's nothing like going up a hill in North Carolina. 200 pounds carried uphill is not a good idea, I tell you.
Well, I didn't carry it. I pushed it. So
pushing it even then.
I'm using my leg power. That's my bigger muscles, man.
I bet you did.
Workout. And, it wasn't like that all the time. It was just, one day a lady stopped me and asked me, do I need water? And I said, sure. Plus, I didn't know where I'm going to get my next water from.
Yeah, sure.
That was an issue sometime, too. So she gave me 2 bottles of water. The next few cars stops me and says, you need water, I heard. And they gave me another bottle. By the end of the day, I had 36 bottles. When I got to camp, I counted them. I'm thinking, my God, and everything else along with my gear. So it's 200 pounds like that sometimes.
Yeah, we all know how much water weighs as well. So coming back to your mission, why did it resonate so much with you? You say you haven't got a family, or have you got children?
I have 2 boys.
Oh, you got 2 boys.
They're older,
right? Mm-hmm. So, divorced. But that resonated deeply with you. Was there a reason for that? Was it make you think of your kids, or what was it?
It did. It made me think of my kids. And then when we're talking about the Appalachian Trail walk, or the first one?
But I'm talking about the first one. When you're walking for the Make-A-Wish.
For the kids, yes. My granddaughters. I had a picture of those guys on the front of my cart that I could see as I'm pushing it, and it kept me motivated to keep going.
I
Because
bet.
some days I wanted to stop, man. Like, what am I doing out there? This is nuts.
Yeah,
And
we'll
some
get
days
that.
it was so cold, my hands are just like it is walking the AT. I got frostbite on a couple of my hands one day at
Oh,
walking
wow.
that time. I
Wow.
still got spots today.
Wow.
But it was intense, man, and it was satisfying and it was challenging, and that's what kind of pushed me to do these long distance walks that I'm doing now.
So you'd already said in 2015 you wanted to do this in 2025. Was that to
Yes, sir.
coincide with retirement, another retirement, or what?
Yes,
Or, right. Okay.
just
So
retirement.
so what have you been doing since 2015 then till this year?
2015 to now, I had a farm,
Oh, right. Nice.
ducks
Right.
and chickens in Kentucky because I moved from after I got done with the walk in 2015 because I had to go to Kentucky from Albuquerque to Kentucky and get a ride from my parents. They had an RV. They
Right.
drove me to Maine.
Right.
So I had to get my truck back from Kentucky. So once I got there, I decided, you know what, I'm going to stay here. The kids are grown. I'm single. I want to help my parents. They're getting older. So I found
Nice.
a farm with two houses on it. My parents stayed next door to me, and we're on 18 acres. And I raised some ducks and chickens after 2020. And
Nice.
I
That's
was
cool.
kind of a farmer with the tractor and all that stuff.
So who looked after your farm when you left to go on the
At
AT
the
this
AT,
year?
I got rid of all the animals, man.
Oh, did you?
Sold
That's,
them. Yes, sir.
that's kind of
And I
sad,
knew
isn't
somebody
it?
wanted to buy them. I sold them to them.
So you
Because
so
I
you
know I
went
couldn't find nobody to take care of them and all that stuff.
so you went from a cart to a backpack this year. What did that
Yes,
transition?
sir.
What did that transition represent? Did it feel like shedding weight beyond gear, or because you had to really, you couldn't carry 200 pounds in a backpack. So how did you
No,
work
but
out
I wish I
what you
could put,
wanted?
but I wish I could push stuff up the hill instead of putting it on my back.
Oh really? Oh really?
No, the transition was hard, man. I had to get used to it. I mean, man, this thing's on my back all the time, and then I actually got hurt in New York with that backpack because I overloaded it and thinking, I can do this here.
How much? How much
And
was it? How much did it weigh when you started? Then
when I started, I think about 37 pounds or something like
right.
that.
That's heavy, isn't it?
That's
It's quite
before
heavy.
that's before going to Walmart. Every time I went to
Oh,
Walmart, you know the deal. You
come out
get
with
all
another
this stuff.
10 pounds. Yeah, that's a lot. It's carrying a lot. And you mentioned that your injury. You actually got a shoulder injury while you were out there.
I did.
What actually
Yeah.
happened?
I I switched to a hyperlight pack, and I overstuffed it all the time, carrying
Hmm.
stuff. And every time I would go up a hill, I would adjust it
Right.
just to get up it. And
Sure.
it just kept sliding back and forth like that, and it burned it really bad. And when it happened, I could feel it back there, but I couldn't really see it.
Right.
And
Right.
it would be kind of sticky at the end of the day when you get to the camp and everything. And I'm thinking, I can't see it. I don't know what's back there. And then I was afraid actually because I had shingles in 2011.
Oh
I'm
wow.
thinking if I got shingles, I got to get off this trail. I don't want to even think those shingles. So one day in Port Jarvis, New York, at a hostel or a hotel, I can't remember exactly. I took a look at it in the mirror and it was so bad. I thought, I can't do this. I gotta have this attended to. I don't know if it's infected or what. So at that time, um, I met a guy named Ambassador, and he told me about dog tag,
Yes.
Mr. Dime,
Yes.
and I connected with him. He gave me a ride to the VA there in New York, and they cleaned it up and told me it wasn't infected, and told me I can't carry the pack for the next couple months. I'm like, I can't.
Really?
I'm walking,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I connected with Mr. Dog Tag, and we kind of he had his vehicle on the route, and
That's
we
right.
went from New York to Maine, slack packing.
Right. So
Yeah,
how'd that work out? What'd you do? Would
it
you
worked out pretty
walk
good. It
separately
did.
and then one would get the car and the other get the other one, or
Yes,
what?
sir. And we had 5 people in the tramway. So we kind of switched around and kind of switched up and did that.
So one thing you did tell me, and I hope you don't
What's
mind me
that?
sharing this now, is that when you spoke before, you said that accepting help from an ambassador and slack packing wasn't that easy for you, was it? How do you usually feel about relying upon others or accepting help from others?
It was very hard because I didn't want to quit. I thought, you know what? I'm this far. I'm in New York. Only got
Yeah,
like what 5 more states or something? Four? I don't know, 5 or
yeah.
4 more states.
Only
So
about
I
another
can't quit.
thousand, only about another I don't know, 800 miles to go, 1,000
I
miles to go,
know.
whatever it is. Yeah.
But I'm thinking I can't quit right now, and I was taking it hard. And then when I saw Ambassador, I was like, wow, I'm gonna do this, but I don't know. I don't want to stop, but I want to continue going. And I just sucked it up and did it, man. And, uh, but I didn't tell you this either. Once I was done with it, I jumped on a CDT and did all of New Mexico and
This year.
finished it November 26th this year. Yeah. And so with me not carrying that backpack for from New York to Maine, I felt it
I
when I
bet.
started. Started in Colorado or Kama up there in New Mexico, and I had to get used to it, man. I mean, I was out of shape from the backpack. And then the altitude was much higher, and I was sucking it
Oh,
in every
yeah.
day for about 2 weeks. I'm thinking, but I got adjusted to it and started rolling.
So have you still got the same backpack? The Hyperlight?
I switched.
All right. And the reason I'm telling you
I
this,
haven't.
by the way, is that I've decided upon a Hyperlight Mountain Gear backpack, the Unbound, to go on this trip
The Unbound,
because
yes.
so many people recommended it to me. You're the first negative one, so I'm not happy with that. But was it?
But nobody recommended that to me until those guys I met them in I think it was Franklin.
All right.
One of those stores in Franklin. So
Anyway.
I live and learn, man.
It works for some people. The thing is, the same thing will work for someone. It won't work for somebody else. And you started early March,
yes,
but you finished
March
on
5th, 6th.
Yeah, but you finished on September the 11th. Yeah, September 11th, which is, of course, a symbolic date for all Americans. But I'd imagine it resonates so much more deeply with veterans and first responders than it does for the rest of us.
It did for me.
Yeah, well, because I know that my friend Rob Diamond, who you mentioned you met out there, he actually came with me to Hot Springs last year to help out with Hurricane Helene, which was great. And he's a really great guy, and I knew he was out there this year.
Okay.
And obviously you met him. So, and I know it was important to him to finish September the 11th.
Yes, it was.
So when you met him, did you know then he was intending to finish September the 11th? And did that make a big difference to you?
I didn't know he was going to finish 9/11. And it made a tremendous difference for me because I thought, this is great. This is great. So I was on course before I met him to be done.
Right.
But I had to slow up and wait and just think about what I'm going to do. And while my other family they were moving on.
Right.
And so when I met him and he said 9/11, I was like, that is great. I would love to do that.
Perfect.
It'll be before October.
Well, there's that, of course. Yeah.
Right. And I was shooting October from, me being behind with everybody. And so it worked out really good. It did. And then once we got up there, we summited with more than one veteran. So it really resonated.
Even more special. Great, even more special.
The camaraderie up there, man, was great. It really was. And the whole time up there, Diamond's talking, man, it's cloudy up here. I said, don't worry, man. It's going to be clear when we get up there. We get closer and closer, and the clouds start moving away, and it turned out to be a great day. I told you, Rob.
I see your picture. I see your picture. It was great. It was a really good picture of the top of Garden. And in your experience, how do trail relationships differ from everyday ones? Or do you just find them, because I find them more intense in many ways than most everyday relationships. What was it like for you to meet these people and sharing a bond?
I think it was a good relationship that I had with everybody I met out there. And I think that the people, when they found out that I did walk across America, that was like one of my paths for me to think, hey, this guy's he's cool. He's in the club now.
Yeah.
But that was not my intention. But it worked out really well because I met a lot of great people, man. I really did. And they taught me a lot.
I think the shared hardships that we go through out there. And this is a first world problem, by the way, because we're fortunate to have the chance to be going out there in the first place. But we do have a shared hardship, and it seems to accelerate the connections out there. It is almost immediate with some people, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It sure is. Because I was telling somebody once on the trail that, you know what? And they probably thought I was nuts. And sometimes I guess I am. I said, you know what? This is great. I didn't know this person. I can't remember the trail name or nothing. And I said, this is a great thing we're doing. We're all headed for one common goal. We're going north, and everybody's in a positive mood. If we were out in the world, somebody would be complaining about something. We'd be watching negative news on this. But right now, everybody's got the same commonality, and we're moving forward.
Yeah.
And I love that. He
Yeah.
didn't say a word. He looked at me and walked away.
But it's not a competitive sport, is it? It's not a competitive sport. You
No,
want
it
you
isn't.
want your fellow man to succeed just as much as you. And you told me that the simplicity of the trail moved you to
Oh man,
tears. What do you think we
it's
lose
lovely.
in everyday life that the trail gives back to us that made you do that?
The simplicity and just unplugging from the noise. Because some days it was so quiet, and you might hear a bird or two, but it was so peaceful, and because of beauty and serenity around you. It's like, wow,
But that
we're missing that
simplicity,
in the world.
but that simplicity is incredibly difficult to carry home, though, isn't it? It's
It sure
difficult to
is.
do.
It sure is. And the moment you get home, the mailman might deliver something like, there it goes. When I walked in 2015, after I got back, I tried to continue watching the sunset every evening because I did
Nice,
that when I was walking,
nice,
and
nice.
that was great. So I'm out there on the farm trying to, okay, where's a good spot? And I did it for, I don't know, maybe a couple months, and all of a sudden life took over again.
Hmm,
And I haven't done it since, actually. Well, I've done it a few times on the AT, but, and the CDT has some beautiful spots in New Mexico.
I'm
Really great.
sure. And you walked this year for your
Yes, sir.
grandson an autism awareness. How
Yes,
did
sir.
that? How did you get into that? And was that something that you intended to do all along to walk for autism awareness? Because it must have felt more personal than past causes.
Yes. I intended to do it all along. I I was kicking around a few other organizations and foundations, and I thought, you know what, my grandson's got autism, and he's three and a half,
Right.
hasn't spoken a word yet, hasn't
Oh,
eaten anything. He does smoothies. That's how he gets fed.
wow.
But they're working with him, the Autism Foundation in my area. So I thought, why can't I do it for him? That's my grandson. Why not?
Yeah.
So I thought I'd raise money for this guy.
So, what do you hope
Uh,
that he one day
Not him
under?
in individual, but
No, I know. Yeah.
overall.
So,
Yeah.
what do you hope that he one day understands about what you did? I'm sure you'd love him to understand your trip, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. Just to be compassionate and help other people do something and not hurt them, because there's enough people in the world right now that wants to hurt you,
Oh
whether
yeah.
it's a relative, whether it's a friend, or whether it's a coworker. Just help somebody do something, and don't give up. Don't stop. Don't stop.
And if someone listening now feels stuck, hurting, or unsure of what's next, what would you want them to
Uh-huh.
take from your story and move to help them with their life? I mean, because walking must have taught you a heck of a lot about resilience and about keeping going.
Yes,
So, what's the small step you'd encourage them to take?
I would say just get out and do it. It doesn't have to be 3,000 miles or 2,000 miles, and you can just walk around the block. And if you can make that a habit, um, it changes your life. It really does.
Hmm.
It changes mine anyway. But having that consistency, that's where we all fall short, me, myself included.
Yeah.
I say I want to do 7 pull-ups every night. I manage it sometimes, but sometimes I fall short. It's only seven, like 7 pull-ups. That's nothing. Yeah, try doing it every day then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we all fall short a little bit. And I think if we can say consistently on just getting out walking and unplugging from your phone, if you don't have to use far out, unplug from your phone. You don't really need it. Just walk and enjoy the beauty of nature, what's around you, because it helps. It really does.
So you went back to CDT as
Yes, sir.
well for a little while. Do you intend to finish the CDT in one go, or what are you going to do?
Well, I thought about that too, and I didn't want to stop after I finished AT, and I would hear a lot of people talking about boomeranging or
Yo-yoing.
yo-yo. Yes, that's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to walk this thing again. I'm one and done here. And I thought, you know what? I still got my legs. I really don't have to go back right now. I'm retired. I don't have any children. I don't have a wife. Why can't I continue walking? My son lives in New Mexico, my oldest son, and my 3 grandkids. I would just catch a train from Maine down to Albuquerque.
Yeah.
And 'cause I love the train ride. It was awesome too. I had a chance to just ah, take a breath and
Yeah.
think about
Sure.
what I just did.
Sure.
And I figured, you know what, I'll just continue walking. And other guys in our family would always say, I got to get back. I got to go home. And I understand that. You got to go back to work. You got family and all that stuff. But I figured I'm going to walk. I still got my legs. And that's all I had, because when I got to Colorado area, I mean, upper New Mexico, I didn't have the lungs because the altitude was so high, and I was
Wow.
like,
How high was that?
can't breathe.
How high are you going?
10,000 feet. I started at 10,000.
Wow. Right.
And you figure the Mount Katahdin is what, 5,000 something?
About
Like
5,500. Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
I was up a little higher, and I had to get used to it, man. I would set my tent up, for the evening, and I would be exhausted. I'm thinking, why am I so tired?
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a minute, I'm up higher now. I gotta get these lungs right.
They say you're meant to climb high, then go down and camp lower, then go up again, and you just keep steadily going up, and then going down and camping
and that
lower.
helps, huh?
That's apparently it does. Yeah. And I've had problems with altitude in the past, but I eventually got to 14,500 feet when I did Mount Whitney, and that's because we did exactly that. Okay. We went over a pass and we camped lower, and it really helps. So are you going to do a PCT in the future or anything like that?
That's my plan. Next year in 2026, my goal is to catch a train from New Mexico here to Glacier National Park,
right,
and start in Montana and walk south to the end of Colorado, beginning of New Mexico. And
nice.
Since I've done New Mexico already, I'm going to credit that, man.
Yeah.
I know I'm not supposed to, but I'm going to do it anyway.
You're going to take the wins when you can.
It was 770 miles, man, plus 11 in Colorado.
That ain't nothing. That ain't nothing, is it?
It took me 51 days, man. And
wow.
I was getting tired. My body was breaking down. I was hurting, and I made it, though.
Rest this winter, and then decide what you're going to do next.
Yes, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm sitting here sipping coffee and talking to you, man. Or not coffee, cocoa. I'm not a coffee drinker.
Right. Well, look, I'm very glad that Linda reached out and suggested I speak to you. I hope whatever you do next, you enjoy, because I'm sure you look like a positive guy, and I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story.
You know what? I got one more thing for you, man, real quick. It won't take a minute.
Of course, don't worry. Take your time.
All right. I got a poem for you, man.
Oh, wow.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the AT, not a creature was stirring, not even a coyote. The spider webs were hung across the path with care, hoping that this darn hiker would soon be there. With you in your buff and I in my cap, we had to settle down for a long afternoon nap. The visions of green tunnels that danced in my head was followed by rocks that anyone would have dread. The nets and the flies in the nets, when they get into the corner of your eye, they make a mess. The roots and the rocks and the snakes and the fox, they're all nestled near Mahusich Notch. Mount Katahdin is near, but there's nothing to fear. Besides, it's your last big up before a nice cold beer. Merry Christmas to all, and happy trails, and happy holidays, brother.
Wow, that's fantastic. Is that yours, by the way? Is that yours?
Yes, I scribbled some down this morning.
That is very cool. Well, look, I appreciate you sharing that with us, and Merry Christmas to everybody. This is going to come out after Christmas, but I appreciate
it, brother.
Yeah. All right, man. Take it easy, okay?
Goodbye, man. Thank you.
Cheers, then. Bye. What a guy, eh? I love that he pushed his car Esmeralda across America, and that he discovered an America that generally embraced him. And please excuse my ignorance about what he would face as a black man and what I'd face as a white man. As I was editing that, I was cringing about that and the things that he has to think about that I would never consider. I must say he was very gracious about it. And it was cool that he met my friend Rob Diamond, one of the guys who joined me in Hot Springs in 2014 after the hurricane. The two of them made it work all the way to Katahdin, proving, as if proof were ever needed, that there are unlimited ways to complete a thru hike. Rob and Tony found a way that suited them. Thanks as ever go to our supporters. As I said recently, we've had a bit of a sticker shock from our podcasting bills for the new year, so I appreciate each and every one of you who steps up month after month. No new supporters this week, but I hope that some of you will think about supporting the shows this year. My preferred method is buymeacoffee.com/MightyBlue, but I take donations via my website, Venmo or Zelle, whatever works for you. I'm going to thank you in advance for your generosity, as I thank all my supporters for keeping us going. Now let's meet the second member of the Hike the Good Hike cohort, Colby Pock. I had some lovely messages last week after Elizabeth appeared on the show, so thanks for that. I'm sure several of these interviews will have an impact upon you, so please continue to write if something touches your heart as you listen. Here's Colby. Today's guest from our Hike the Good Hike cohort is Colby Park. Hey, Colby, thanks for talking with me on the podcast.
Oh, this is my pleasure, Steve. Thank you so much for having me.
And Colby and I have actually just been talking about some maps he's got behind him of these beautiful trails that he's done already, including the John Muir Trail, which my listeners know I've failed at 3 times. So he's already well ahead of me right now. And you're considering, well, I've got different notes here. I've got that you're considering either the Wonderland Trail or the Colorado Trail for your next hike, your hike next year. Have you made that decision yet, or are you leaning towards one rather than the other?
Yeah, leaning towards the Colorado Trail. Some of that will depend a little bit on my work schedule and how that all fits, but that's plan A.
Right. So you got a job. That terrible thing.
I know. It gets in the way of all this fun hiking business.
Yeah. So what do you do?
Steve, I work in kind of in the technology field, in kind of a customer success leadership role.
Wow, interesting. And are they letting you get off for a certain period of time, or are you accumulating vacation?
Yeah, accumulate vacation days, and I've got a pretty lenient boss who will let me kind of take another extra 1 or 2 here or there if needed.
Quite right, so yeah. So. He knows it's good for you. Everybody knows it's good for you to do this. So if it is the Colorado Trail, what was the decision? The Wonderland Trail I've never been on, and I've only heard about the Colorado Trail from a number of people I've interviewed on the show. So what was the thought process between those 2 trails?
I think my progression, and I'm still kind of young and new to the hiking or the through hiking scene, has just been kind of increasing kind of year by year with some of these trails. And I got a taste last year doing my first solo through hike of the Tahoe Rim Trail, and kind of feeling that out in terms of it being a little bit more of a through hike. Yeah. And I just love that experience and wanted to extend that for a couple more weeks. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, everybody does, don't they? Yeah. I think it's a very beguiling thing. I've often said I'm not sure I particularly like hiking, but I love through hiking. The idea of starting in one place and finishing another. But of course, the Tahoe Rim Trail, you're literally doing the rim, so you're going a circle effectively, a loop, big loop, aren't you? How many miles was it?
My 175 miles is probably right around where it's at.
How long did it take you?
I did that in 9 hiking days.
Right. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit different from, the John Muir Trail or even the Uinta Highline Trail here in Utah, where you're a little bit more at elevation, but just beautiful and stunning in its own way.
Yeah, sure. And I know you're a veteran, so can you tell us a little bit more about your time in the military and what that chapter of your life was like for you personally?
Yeah, I mean, first off, chapter of my life, it was wonderful. We, as a family, we really enjoyed our military experience. We're certainly not ones who will kind of poo-poo on what that experience was like. We had a great experience, met some really great people, and had some really neat memories as a family. But I commissioned as an infantry officer into the United States Army and spent a number of years in airborne infantry units. I spent some time in the 75th Ranger Regiment, which is a little bit of I kind of categorize it as a quasi special forces unit.
They're really tough guys, aren't they? Right,
they can be. I mean, you've done the Appalachian Trail, so when you get through that Dahlonega area, I know some people have heard
I've been there,
gunshots or whatever, and that's the Ranger Training Brigade up there in Dahlonega using their blanks and running missions. Yeah. So, but no, we spent about 7 years active duty as an infantry officer in a number of units that were pretty, high speed. That's the right term, and had deployed to Afghanistan twice, once with kind of the big Army unit that I was with. So for any veterans out there, the 173rd Airborne Brigade based out of Vicenza, Italy. And then with the 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, which is where I was stationed.
Man, that is a cultural shift from Vicenza, Italy to Afghanistan. Man, that must have been a bit of a tricky thing every time you make that change. So looking back now, do parts how much does that experience stay with you? And is it generally the bad parts that stay with you?
No, by and large, it's the good parts that stay with you. Again, the people you meet, the experiences you have, the camaraderie that you kind of build as a team, especially doing challenging things, right? And I think that's a bit of the natural progression, at least for me, I think, into the hiking and the through hiking scene is hardships really build kind of who you are and help build a lot of memories and in some cases camaraderie if you're doing that as a group or with others. There were some challenges. Of course there are. Being away from family for a long time. My first experience with mental health, a mental health challenge happened during what I would consider the pinnacle of my career. I mean, what everybody dreams of, and it forced me to get off the trail, if that's the right term. Right. In this case, for a little bit of time. But again, by and large, it was such a fantastic experience. We really loved our time in the military.
Well, I'm not going to delve into too much about the detail of that, obviously. So how did you obviously got PTSD as a result. How did you cope with your PTSD initially? And this is before hiking, really. You know, what was it that, how were you making it work for you, as it were?
Yeah, and I don't know if I would say, and I certainly haven't been diagnosed with PTSD, so I don't want to cheapen, I think, the real struggles that a lot of our veterans have. But I did have a bout of depression that came in pretty heavily, and being in the military, you know, you're always taught to suck it up and to keep moving forward, and that's what I tried to do for a number of months, just pretend that there was no problem. Get up and put your boots on or lace up your sneakers and get out there and PT and working out every day. But there comes a point where you just can't physically and mentally do that anymore. And so that's when I wouldn't say the breaking point happened, but that's where I had to reach out for help and get help from my unit and get help from the leadership there.
So how did hiking first become part of your life? You know, I see with all those trails behind you, you've obviously done quite a bit now. When did you first turn to hiking? Because I'd imagine being military, you hiked anyway a lot, didn't you, with a bloody great pack on your back? The last thing you want to do would be backpack.
Absolutely.
I would think. So when did it become part of your life as a hobby as opposed to a bloody chore?
I mean, initially it started as a kid. I grew up here in Utah in the Wasatch Mountain Range. And so would do, was part of the scouting program, the Boy Scouts of America. Right. And so we would do little things here or there. But again, probably the same mentality. It wasn't very fun at that point in time. You're carrying a lot of that old, Kelty external frame backpacks and heavy, foam pads. And anyway, so got started there, didn't really enjoy it. The military is a little bit different because you don't get to choose what you bring with you. You get issued your pack, you get issued your gear, and you're told exactly what to pack. And a lot of that's pretty meaningless stuff too.
Oh, really?
But
by the way, that's an interesting thing you say. So you're carrying a bloody great pack with massive weight. And I'm told people carried 80, 90, 100 pounds sometimes. I don't think I could lift that up. So, and you say a lot of it's unnecessary. That's interesting. So in what way would it be what did you take that was unnecessary then?
Well, I mean, just as you and I know now, or as I know now, as we try to trim our pack weight down and get rid of those things that are not important, it would be bring, I don't know, 6 pairs of socks and bring 2 pairs of boots and bring your entire sleep system, which includes a Gore-Tex liner, it would just be things that are kind of irrelevant, but it's a bit of that same, thing we talked about on the trail about packing your fears. Let's just bring all the extra stuff just in case. So the ultralight movement hasn't actually reached the military yet. No, and it's probably a good thing because again, with the military, at least, if you're truly out on a mission, you never know what's going to happen. And you do kind of have to be prepared for that. So you started hiking as a hobby and you've done these trails. When did it start to feel more than just being outdoors? When did you start feeling a natural benefit? I think the first, I guess, through hike that I would consider I did in the summer, late summer of 2023 along the Uinta Highline Trail here in Utah. It's about 107-mile trail along the spine of the Uinta Mountains, the only range that runs east to west in the United States. And you're running the spine of that east to west, that 100 plus miles or so. And And that was the first time I had gotten out on trail in this kind of an environment that had done over 5 days, 107 miles with a good buddy of mine from work. And it was almost immediate, the lightening, I guess, of the burden, if that's what you want to call it, the mind opening, the feeling of peace and just disconnectedness, if that's even a word.
It is a word. And I know what you mean about that. It's less options, isn't it? Less things to distract you all the time, just being out there and enjoying nature. And is this a feeling that you notice every time you get into a hike?
It is, to some degree or another. Yeah, Steve. So again, I'm fortunate to have mountains about a half a mile out my front window here. Cool. And I'm able to get up there when I need to or when I want to, if the weather's good, as frequently as I can. And sometimes it is just that 2 or 3 hour, couple of mile hike up the canyon, and you can just kind of get settled for a short amount of time. And it just really helps settle the mind and clear the thought process and be rejuvenated and recharged. I've got 4 kids here at home. I'm married. And so that's a big part of me as well. I've got to be home. I've got to be the father. I've got to be the husband. And I love those roles of mine. But sometimes it just needs to get out into the mountains for a little bit of a reset so I can come home and be Sure. the person I want to be at home.
Do you ever hike with your kids or your wife?
Yes. I will say quickly, the John Muir Trail that I did in 2024, I did that with my oldest son at the time.
Wonderful.
How wonderful. At the time was 15 years old.
Oh, that's not so wonderful.
And so that was a pretty awesome experience to do that with him and to see him kind of adapt to the trail and overcome challenges, and the resiliency that he demonstrated was just heartwarming as a father and an incredible experience. And my wife and I do a number of trails around this area. We did Rim to Rim together a couple of years. I think that was also in 2024 in the springtime. And then we've got a number of trails kind of up in this area in the Wasatch Front that we love to get out on Saturdays.
So that, I suppose the word is grounding, that grounding experience, the feeling of openness and freedom when you're out there on a trail. When you go home, mm-hmm. do you miss that, or do you carry that back with you sometimes?
Yes.
By the way, none of that is to decry your home life at all. I'm just exactly. But there's something about, I know that my partner Dana says I need to go hiking every year because I'm a pain in the arse when I get home. So I wonder how it is when you come home.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. I can bring it home with me and enjoy it, but obviously that it does kind of fade a little bit. And I think I do need that, at least that once a year, to get out for a good 5, 6, 7+ days. Sure. I had planned to try to do the Highline Trail again this summer, and there was a couple of fires that started up in that area, a few things that just kind of pushed that away. And right. And my wife could just sense that they're like, Colby, get out, like you need to get out of here. And so she sent me, I found a trail down south in Zion National Park for a couple of days, and she just said, go. I don't like, just go, go get outside, go hit that reset.
That's an understanding woman. Quite right. Too.
She is. Yeah. And I am so fortunate and so blessed with a wife who is as understanding and patient with me as she is. And
in your notes, and I know this is a very common thing with military people, because one of the other guys I interviewed is military as well. You described yourself in your notes as mission oriented. Is it particularly important to you to finish what you start, or will you be quite happy to do half of it and just go home because you don't like it or you've had enough of it?
I think my initial mindset is you finish what you start. And if you've got a plan and you've prepared and you've done all those things, then yes, you finish what you start. You do what you say you're going to do. I think I've maybe come off of that a little bit in terms of my, being a father and having children who you see will make those steps, will take those initial steps to do something hard. And there may be something that comes in the way and they can't finish it. And I don't want to sit there and look at my kids and say, you're a failure because you didn't, you made it 99 yards, but you didn't get 100 yards to the touchdown. There is value in completing things and in helping your kids see that. My son completing the John Muir Trail, there was a couple of instances where we thought, are we going to need to get off trail? Is there something that maybe not, that he physically is not capable of doing it at that point in time? But you nudge him, you push him, you prod him, you let him know that you're there to support him and love him and care for him. And it's pretty awesome what kids will do when you're there to support them in that way. And so, but for me personally, yeah, I still have a bit of a mindset of, if you don't do it 100% of the way, it doesn't count, or maybe it's a failure. So I know that there's not total truth in that, but
by the way, that's nonsense. You're not a failure if you don't finish it. No, it's the turning up, and step number one. You've achieved more than 99% of people.
100%.
So I would never feel. You should never feel that way, because it's important just to do it and get out there and do it. And I feel sorry for your son who finishes 99 yards. He hasn't done the 100. It gets you having a go at him. But
that's again, that's where I've probably lightened up a bit as a person. I might hold myself to a different standard, but I don't hold that standard to anybody else.
Quite right. So you've mentioned wanting to help others simply by sharing your experience. That can't be an easy decision to make, because there's a certain vulnerability to that, isn't there? Why did you make it?
Yeah, there's definitely vulnerability to it. But I think, as I've progressed in life, as I've gotten, more miles under my belt, so to speak, I've seen the power of authenticity. I've seen the power of being true to yourself. And as you begin to share experiences or trials or challenges, that opens up the door and allows others to do those things freely as well. And I have been immensely blessed, both personally and my family, by those who have been vulnerable and who've been willing to talk about their challenges. There is a bit of, we've got addiction that runs in our family. And one of the best things that has helped, particularly with a younger brother of mine, has been in these groups where you can talk through the reality of what you're feeling, the reality of what you're thinking, and what you're going through, and how that really bonds people together and opens the door for others to talk about those challenges. And we know the statistics, Steve, that in the United States, veterans are committing suicide at alarming rates.
Was it 22 a day? Something ridiculous
22 a day
like
has historically been the rate. I think maybe that's come down a little bit over the last couple of years, but even if it has come down, it's still a terrible, terrible epidemic that we're facing in the United States as veterans. And so if there is, whether it's a veteran or not, if there's one person that can find an avenue to talk through what they're dealing with and to see others and to know they are not alone, that we all have things that we're going through in our own ways, and that helps anybody out there, it is worth it. And that's why I think the message behind Hike Your Good Hike, what Cody and Mike are doing, just resonates with me personally from my experiences, but also the ability to go out and help our fellow brothers and sisters.
And I know that you've got a YouTube channel, and we're going to share the link in the show notes, by the way.
I do.
That's an interesting medium for you to do that. So are you talking direct to camera? Because I haven't got the link yet, so I don't know what it is. So do you talk direct to camera?
I do. And I should say it's a pretty baby channel, and it's slightly embarrassing. So be kind. I haven't talked much about
You've
this
done step one. No,
yes.
That's not embarrassing. You got
to
stop that.
I'm still learning the videography, the editing, and how to talk to a camera. So in that regard, there are probably some embarrassing moments out there. But
you're going to film out there? You're going to film on trail?
I will. Yep.
Great.
100%. You'll see film on the channel from the John Muir Trail, which is incredibly embarrassing. But again, it's there to document more for me and my family. And you can see my Tahoe Rim Trail experience day by day, as well of other goofy hiking and camping videos.
So what's the current plan? When are you actually thinking of starting? Have you got a date in mind, or have you set a date?
Yeah, rough date right now. Either end of June, we'll start there at Waterden Canyon near Denver on the north end, or may need to push slightly into the first week or two of July. But that's the plan right now.
As you look ahead to this hike, because 500 miles is not nothing. That's a long, long way. And you're going to get as far as you can. And obviously, in your case, you want to get to the end. What are you hoping to bring back home with you from that trail?
I learned pretty quickly on in this hiking phase of life that I can't go into anything with expectations. I think the neat part about all of these trails that I have done, that you have done, I'm sure, and others, each trail is a different experience. And in how I describe it, it talks to me, it teaches me something different. And so going into the trail, I don't have a lot of expectations, but I'm excited to learn what this trail and what this experience will teach me. And if I'm listening, and if I'm paying attention, and if I'm grounded, and if I'm trying to help others around me, and be a good person, I find that I learn an incredible amount from that experience and from that trail.
Well, look, I only wish you the best of luck, in your preparation for this. Still a while to go. I'm heading out myself in March on the Appalachian Trail for my third through hike, which is ridiculous.
Amazing.
And I hope I can interview you halfway through your trail by calling you and recording you on the trail. That's one of those things I've tried to do a few times. It's worked out okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to find out roughly your midpoint, and then we'll record then. But I just wish you the best, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us.
Steve, well, thank you so much. Again, it's been a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine. I appreciate the work you're doing, and good luck on your hike this summer. That's going to be an exciting one to follow.
Silly old fool that I am. Anyway, thanks for doing this. Okay, we'll catch up soon. All right?
Sounds great. Thank
you. Cheers
then.
Bye.
Cheers.
What a wonderful thing, doing the John Muir Trail with your 15-year-old son. That will leave an impression for life on the young man. I thought Colby came across as a sensible, pragmatic guy, well prepared for the Colorado Trail, which I must admit is something I wouldn't mind trying someday myself. I look forward to catching up with him when he's halfway through. Finally today, my accountability blog. With just under 7 weeks to go, I am starting to feel the anticipation. I hope you are too. Here it is. Hey guys, it's been another fairly quiet week on the preparation front, with my training taking a bit of a hit as I attended a podcasting conference called Podfest in Orlando last Thursday, Friday and Saturday. I prepared my 3 days of food from Monday to Wednesday, and I stuck well to that schedule, but it just wasn't feasible to hit the protein targets at a conference hotel, so I just let it slide until this week. I did work out in the hotel gym each morning, so I didn't entirely let go, but I noticed a dip in my feeling of well-being, I suppose. I got home on Saturday evening and spent most of Sunday afternoon cooking for this week, and the goal of tipping 220-odd grams of protein down my neck continues unabated. While I was away for those 3 days, I put on a couple of pounds, but since I've been back on this protein fest, I've dropped a couple of pounds. I have no idea how that happens because I'm eating effectively 4 heavy meals each day. I don't snack though as I used to, and I don't really drink anymore at the moment. I can feel a martini coming on this weekend. I was back in the gym at 6:45 on Monday morning with Luis, and he's devised another week of relative torture for me, so that's nice. I like that he really puts me through my paces, and I find myself really trying to impress him. I mean, I don't, I'm sure, because he's built like a brick privy, and he's about 50 years younger than me, but you can see that I'm trying my hardest. I'm now less than 50 days from my start, so everything seems to be accelerating right now, and while my weight is still stubbornly hanging around, I'm now certain that's due in part to increased musculature, which, of course, I hope will help me in those early days in Georgia. As you know, on the podcast, I often ask people about Georgia and how they cope, and I tend to ask that because of how badly I coped with it in the beginning. I still think that despite the work I've put in, and will continue to put in until I leave for Atlanta, I'm still going to be struggling and gasping up those mountains for the first few weeks. What I hope will happen is that I get my legs and my breathing that much sooner because of the work I put in. Well, that's my theory of the case anyway. Now on to gear, and I asked for some recommendations from you guys last week, and a couple came in. Somebody called B. Barnes, we're not on first name terms apparently, B. Barnes suggested bamboo cool underwear, so I ordered a pack of 5 for about $50. Funnily enough, they turned up at my house as I was writing this blog, so I haven't tried them on yet. They feel very nice, so I'll be checking them out later and will report back. Thanks, B. Barnes. My buddy Hugh Ickrath suggested I check out Duluth trading company Bullpen Underwear. Actually, I think it's bullpen, not ballpen, though the rather particular design suggests it could be the latter. I'll be getting some of those soon as well. Then Stephanie Crotteau suggested the -33 lightweight merino wool beanie. They appear to sell it in mighty blue colours, so I ordered one of those as well. It's got some great reviews, so I'm looking forward to getting that. I'm still waiting for the Zembivy stuff to come into the country so I can order that, but I've got a bit of a conundrum. This week, Zembivy put out the call for brand ambassadors, and with my podcast, I guess I'd have a shot what we're doing the podcast on trail this year. but they want entries by March the 1st, just over a week before I leave for the trail. I don't think I'm going to be able to leave it that late, so I guess I'll have to buy the stuff and maybe still become an ambassador, but without the free gear. Oh well, I was committed to buying it anyway, so that's what I'll do. So since I don't have all my gear, I think I can still put together my pack with new and existing stuff to give me an indication of how much it will all weigh and how well my new pack fits. I'm planning on that this weekend. I will let you know how it goes. Nobody wrote to me about the Z-Packs rain kilt, or any other kilt for that matter, so if you hear this and you have experience with Z-Packs or any rain kilt, please let me know. Another part of my preparation, which I just started today, was doing a deep dive into far out and polar steps. I mean, I know what far out does, but there are several pretty good YouTube videos that go through it all in detail, and I watched some of those this morning. I intend to make full use of it on trail this year, and I'm even second guessing myself as to whether or not I need the ATC guide or the AWOL guide. I've used the ATC guide for my previous AT hikes, but I know that many of you love the AWOL guide. Once more, any opinions on either, or both, or neither of those will be helpful. And then polar steps. We had Nina Banducci on the show a few weeks ago, and I had intended to learn about polar steps, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. I'll be checking out YouTube in the next few days to make sure I know how to use it properly. One last thing. In each of my 2 successful AT through hikes, I've had my head completely shaved with one of those cutthroat razors, and this past week I spoke with my barber, Emmanuel, to ask if he could do that. I mean, of course he could, so we've tentatively arranged for him to do it the Saturday before I leave. I could not possibly go on an AT hike without a bald head. It's all falling into place. So that's where I am this week. As I say, less than 50 days to go, and I'm better prepared than I've ever been for a hike. If it doesn't work out, I think I'll be able to put it down to over-preparation. So, it looks like I'll be reviewing underpants and a hat next week, all part of the paraphernalia of a through hike. I'll see you next week.